Hey, how's it going? I'm going to show y'all today how to get proper graphs for your lab report, the cellular respiration one. Let's get started. Just share my screen. Okay, so this is a hypothetical data set. Um, so you would input this into Excel, and this isn't anyone's data. I just got these random numbers generated so that I could go through this exercise. All right. So you can see the time is in seconds over here, and the CO2 values are in parts per million in each of these columns. So we are going to be looking at the germinated and the non-germinated peas. Okay, and over here, you can see the mass of the germinated peas at 10.2 and the mass of the non-germinated peas at 8.8. I am including the masses in the slope formula because I don't want the different masses to be skewing our data results because we're trying to study cellular respiration between treatments. And if one of these treatments had a drastically different size, then maybe the CO2 measurements would be changing with respect to the size of each of these or the masses of each of these groups, and not because of the actual state or the biological state of our treatment groups. So right here, just to remind myself, I'm going to have my slope as um, the change in parts per million divided by seconds, or times the change in seconds, also divided by grams. So that's both in the denominator, and you can already start to see how this formula is going to be created because I have my time over here in column B. I've got my treatment groups in C and D, and then I've got my masses over here. Let's get started. So I'll start with my time interval. Here the slope is between 2 points, and I will just say 0 to 180, 180 to 360, 360 to 540, and 540 to 720. Okay, so you're going to have four different slopes calculated. And let's just stick down here. I want to find the average of those slopes. And I will also include the standard deviation for our bar plots. Let me just that out, stick that up here. So I can put germinated peas and non-germinated peas. Maybe I'll even throw room temperature because your room temperature peas are used for both. Formula is as such. So you're going to have your rise over run or final minus initial. So it's going to be this, which is 180 minus 0. That is in the upper part. And I'm just following my formula that I have up here just to remind myself. Divided by, close parenthesis, my time also is final minus initial. Let me put another bracket right over here. Times, where's my germinated pea mass? Okay, it's here in column L2. I want to fix that cell in place as I'm making my formula. So I'm going to put dollar signs at both of those parts. Oh, I forgot a parenthesis. So let's close it. This is live. Neat. Just going to drop that down. Okay. And for this one, I'm going to change my formula a little bit. All right, so you see for the non-germinated peas, might be some of y'all's first times using Excel. Whenever I dragged this formula across, my columns that it was taking the parts per million from changed from, let me just double click on the cell so you'll remember. So here I've got column C for my treatments. That's the part per million change, that's up here, divided by time interval right over here. And then also it's going to be divided by the germinated peas. So that formula, when I drag that over, what happens? Okay, so you can see each of these color-coded cells is corresponding to the part of the formula. And oh, I forgot to make this column stay B when I dragged it across. So I'm going to do that again, but I am only going to put a dollar sign in front of the B part. So that's going to fix the column in place, but the row is going to change. I mean, it doesn't change anything for this one, but whenever I drag it across, boop, see how that works? Now I'm going to drag this down. And just like that, I have a whole bunch of slopes. See, just double check every time you do something, just double check a little bit. It's good practice. Just to make sure everything is lined up. And now I am going to move on to getting the average slope of this. Equals, that's how you start. Average should just come up. Average. Oh, sorry. Oh, these are my averages. Neat. So my standard deviation is going to be equals, and we'll use the standard deviation of a sample since we did not look at the whole population. That's what standard deviation dot p would be. We didn't do that. And I'm just going to go over the same cells I did before. Don't include the average. And it should give you a little standard deviation. Equals. Oh, I'm just going to drag that across. Neat. Now, what do we have here? We've got our values for the heights for each of our bar plots. And this is going to be down here, the error bars. Let's make a graph. So I'm gonna hold down Control. I'm also gonna hold down Control. I'm gonna keep holding Control as I'm selecting cells. That way you can go between values without unselecting things. Now, insert line or chart. I'm gonna look at the charts. Yeah. See how, because I selected down, it automatically labeled my graph. Look at all these chart options. Personally, I like this one. This is perfectly fine. Or actually, I like this one better. Let's go with this, and we can change the chart elements just a little bit. Let's give it some axis titles. Okay, so I'm gonna click on little caret, more options. So I don't really need an axis title on my X and Y axis for now. But for the chart title, I'm going to call this CO2 rate of respiration RT germ versus germ P's. Doesn't really matter for right now. For this axis, say that's the exactly what we have up here. So it's parts per million divided by second grams. Ooh, wait, did I do that right? Oh, okay, y'all. Maybe you caught this mistake. I'm not going to redo this, but whenever I double click here and I'm looking at my formula again, you can see that I am still taking the mass of the germinated peas. So let's fix that for the non-germinated pea section, and then it should automatically update our graph. Let's see, 10. Let's just click and drag. It did automatically update that. All right. So let's add some error bars. These aren't the error bars you want. We're gonna make custom error bars under more options. Go over to error bar options, scroll to custom or look at custom, specify value. And my values are from these two cells. I go back, just gonna highlight these two cells. It's the same thing for the negative. Negative and positive are the same thing. Same thing. Okay, that's fine. Let's play with the colors a little bit. I want that error bar to be white. That might just make it easier. There we go. That's where the color is. White's not good. Let's go with yellow or orange. I just wanted to show up on that. I don't really care about the color of the bars. Uh, okay, for now, this is good enough for me. Y'all can play with these however you want to mess with the colors. Um, it's really easy to do in Excel. In the meantime, I'd like to move on to a scatter plot with a trend line because that's also something that I would like to see. So let's get going. See what happens when I just make a chart from here. Okay, so you're gonna have to go under all charts and there'll be an XY scatter. Um, we're gonna have to play with this a little bit. Or not. It worked. Great. So it already selected my time as one as my x-axis. That's in seconds. So I'll add that in seconds right over here. So axis titles, parts per million. Down here, time in seconds. Okay, so let me just add a trend line real quick. Yeah, trend line. Okay, so now I have two trend lines. And on those trend lines, I still want to see the R squared, so that's the correlation coefficient. And I also want to see the slope. If you think that a linear or an exponential fits better, please do that and explain maybe why you think that one might fit better than the other. Um, or just use a linear. I really don't care. Let's here down here. So I'm in the chart area again after going into the format options. And I'm going to have that for both my trend lines. Great. Both of these are set for my trend lines. And you're good to go. Actually, wait. Um, shoot. This should have been normalized still to the mass, which again is really easy to do. Since we've already collected all these values, you can just hold on. We just make sure these stay the same values. Not the best at Excel. Sorry, bear with me. I only want you all to do things that I can do too. The contents. I just don't want to move those and have them end up changing. Should be good. Sorry, bear with me. Just do this another way. Equals this cell divided by this. Okay. Okay. Y'all see what I kind of did just there? Right now I'm just going to format. No, I don't need to format that at all. We're good to go. So now our slopes correspond. You see how the CO2 room temperature has that 0.18 slope? Now it corresponds right here. And then you have a 0.008 slope over here, which basically correlates to right over here. You might get slightly different things for your regressions, but that's okay. They're going to be pretty close though. Okay, that is all I'm going to show. And hopefully that answers up some of your questions. All right. Thanks.